Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The story of Jakori Merritt is one that feels almost too good to be true. The kind of rise that turns an ordinary Sunday afternoon into the stuff of legend. It's the type of underdog story that football fans live for, and the Washington Commanders, who took a late-round swing on him at number 245 overall in the 2025 NFL Draft, are now watching that gamble turn into gold right before their eyes. When you think about how many players enter the NFL every year only to disappear before they're ever truly noticed, what Merritt is doing right now feels like a rebellion against the odds, a statement that talent, when mashed with grit and opportunity, can rewrite any draft day narrative. Coming out of college, Merritt wasn't on anyone's radar. He wasn't the player that analysts argued about on ESPN or the one fans were screaming for on draft night. His name wasn't even in most mock drafts until the very end, and when it did appear, it was often buried among the maybe prospects, the ones who get labeled as camp bodies, players brought in to fill practice reps or special team spots. But for those who took the time to dig a little deeper, there were flashes, a powerful, compact runner who had a knack for finding daylight where none seemed to exist, who ran with anger, balance, and purpose. The Commanders' scouting department saw enough to take a chance, and now, it looks like they might have struck oil in the desert. Fast forward a few months, and that quiet rookie has become one of the loudest names in Washington. The hype didn't come overnight. It built gradually, like a spark turning into a flame. Training camp whispers turned into preseason highlights, and preseason flashes turned into regular season production. But everything exploded in Week 5 against the Los Angeles Chargers, when Merritt not only ran like a man possessed, but seemed to drag the Commanders' entire offense back to life. Washington had been struggling to find rhythm, unable to sustain drives, and momentum was slipping away fast. Then came a pivotal moment. Safety Quan Martin forced a fumble, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore scooped it up, and suddenly, the Commanders had a heartbeat again. And who did they turn to when they needed to make something happen? The seventh-round rookie. It was a moment that felt like passing of the torch, a sign that the coaching staff trusted Merritt to deliver when the lights were bright. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury dialed up a series of plays designed to get the ball in his hands. Zone runs, quick tosses, inside counters. And each time, Merritt answered with the kind of urgency and poise you expect from a seasoned veteran, not a first-year player still trying to find his footing in the league. He wasn't just running hard. He was running smart. He was patient when he needed to be, decisive when the lane appeared, and fearless when it came time to lower his shoulder. There's a certain beauty to the way Merritt moves with the ball. It's not flashy, not built on pure speed or jaw-dropping jukes. Instead, it's efficient, powerful, and calculated. He reads blocks like a chess player reads the board, seeing 2 or 3 moves ahead. When defenders close in, he doesn't panic. He absorbs contact, keeps his legs churning, and somehow turns what should be a 2-yard gain into 7. Then, just when defenders start to cheat inside, he bends around the edge with a burst that leaves linebackers clutching at air. That touchdown run against the Chargers wasn't just a big play. It was a statement. You could see it in his stride, in the way he crossed the goal line. A mix of disbelief and determination, like a man who knew he'd worked too hard to let the moment pass without leaving a mark. What makes his story even more compelling is the path he took to get here. Merritt isn't a blue-chip recruit who grew up surrounded by scouts and attention. He's someone who had to fight for every snap, every carry, every ounce of respect. His college career was defined by grit and perseverance, transferring, waiting, and proving himself again and again. He faced doubts about his size, his speed, even his fit at the professional level. But instead of shrinking under that pressure, he used it as fuel. Every slight, every "he's not NFL material" became another reason to grind harder, study longer, and prepare like his life depended on it. Now, standing under the lights of an NFL stadium, he's showing that hunger never fades when it's born from struggle. And let's be honest, the Commanders needed a spark like this. The team's offense had been searching for an identity, looking for that one player who could turn the tide when things weren't clicking. For all of Washington's big names and high-priced acquisitions, it's the rookie, The 245th pick, the afterthought, who's giving them that jolt of energy. There's a fire in how he plays that's infectious, the kind of energy that makes offensive linemen dig a little deeper and quarterbacks trust the play call even when the defense is closing in. Cliff Kingsbury, known for his creative offensive mind, seems to be leaning more into Jakori Merritt's strengths each week. You can see the evolution, from limited touches early in the season to now, where he's becoming a true focal point of the offense. Fans are starting to believe, too. Social media is buzzing with clips of Jakori Merritt breaking tackles. Analysts are comparing his trajectory to that of Brock Purdy, another late-round miracle who turned skepticism into stardom, and teammates are showering him with praise in post-game interviews. Even veteran players are talking about his work ethic, about how he's the first one in the weight room and the last to leave the field. That's not just talent, that's culture. That's the kind of attitude that can shift the mentality of an entire locker room. And yet, for all the attention, Jakori Merritt hasn't changed one bit. You won't find him chasing headlines or flexing on social media. He speaks with humility, always giving credit to his blockers, his coaches, his family. There's a groundedness to him that makes his success even more refreshing in an era where ego often outshines effort. He knows how quickly the NFL can humble you. One fumble, one missed assignment, one bad game, and the same people praising you can turn in an instant. That's why he's taking nothing for granted. Why he plays every down like it could be his last. The Commanders' front office deserves a ton of credit for this one, especially Adam Peters, who played a major role in drafting Jakori Merritt. Peters was also part of the San Francisco 49ers organization when they found Brock Purdy, so he knows what it looks like when a late-round player carries something special, that blend of confidence, poise, and relentless drive. If Jakori Merritt continues on this trajectory, he could very well become one of the best value picks in franchise history. Of course, it's still early. NFL careers aren't built on one hot month or a single breakout game. Consistency is what separates stars from flashes in the pan. But if you've watched Jakori Merritt closely, you can see the foundation of something sustainable. His game isn't reliant on luck or trick plays. It's built on fundamentals, vision, balance, and an unteachable instinct for space. That kind of skill set doesn't fade when defenses adjust. It evolves. And with each passing week, you get the sense that Washington's coaching staff is preparing to give him an even larger share of the offense. Cliff Kingsbury's play calling has already begun to reflect that confidence. We're seeing more two-back sets, more misdirection plays designed to free Jakori Merritt into open lanes. It's clear that Kingsbury trusts his rookie to make the right reads, and that's a massive compliment in a system that demands quick decision-making. The more touches he gets, the more comfortable he becomes, and the more dangerous this Washington offense looks. So here we are, just a few weeks into the season, and a seventh-round rookie has become one of the biggest talking points in the NFL. The same player who was almost an afterthought in April is now impossible to ignore in October. From under the radar to undeniable, Jakori Merritt's journey is a reminder that in football, as in life, opportunity only matters if you're ready to seize it. He's done that and more. And as the Commanders look ahead, one thing feels certain. The man they call Bill isn't just ready. He's here to stay. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. All right, guys, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you sounds absolutely insane. And yet, somehow, it's real. The Washington Commanders, yes, the team that's been trying to rebuild its identity, its culture, and basically its entire image, just announced the signing of none other than Tyreek Hill. Yes, that Tyreek Hill, the cheetah himself, the lightning bolt who turned every defense into a highlight reel. But here's the jaw-dropping part. They made this announcement despite the fact that Tyreek is dealing with a massive injury, one that many people in the league are calling potentially career-threatening. Let that sink in for a second. The Commanders, a team desperate to prove they're turning the corner, are betting on a superstar who might not even touch the field this season. What in the world is going on in Washington right now? It all started as a whisper, a few tweets, some cryptic posts, and fans brushing it off as a wild rumor. But then, boom, the Commanders' official account dropped the bombshell. Welcome to Washington, Tyreek Hill. The internet exploded. You could almost hear the collective gasp across the NFL community. Tyreek Hill, one of the most electrifying players of the modern era, leaving Miami and signing with Washington. Even though everyone knew he was nursing what insiders are calling a severe lower body injury. Some sources are saying it's related to a torn ligament. Others are whispering about something even more complicated. Nobody's confirmed exactly what it is, but one thing's clear: it's bad. Really bad. The kind of injury that could sideline a guy not just for a season, but potentially reshape his entire career. Now, think about what that means for the Commanders. This team has been living in the shadow of chaos for years, from ownership drama to underwhelming seasons, to the endless carousel of coaches and quarterbacks. They've been trying to turn things around under new management, bringing in fresh energy, cleaning up the image, and connecting with fans who felt alienated for way too long. But this move, this one right here, feels like something else entirely. It feels like a statement, a gamble, a massive roll of the dice that says, we're not afraid to swing big. And yet, as gutsy as that sounds, it also feels like they're betting on a broken race car, hoping it still has enough gas to win one last race. What are they really expecting from Tyreek right now? According to some insiders close to the Commanders' front office, the deal was in the works for weeks, maybe even months. Tyreek's camp had reportedly been in quiet conversations with multiple teams, exploring what options might be out there if Miami decided to move on. Apparently, the Dolphins were growing uneasy. His recent injury, his off-field controversies, and the massive salary cap implications made it tough to justify keeping him long-term. Washington, on the other hand, saw an opportunity. They saw a superstar whose price had just dropped because of uncertainty. They saw a chance to grab a big name, a proven playmaker, and send a message to the rest of the league that they're serious about competing, even if it means taking on risk. So they did it. They pulled the trigger. And now, everyone's asking the same question. Was this genius or madness? Let's talk about the football side for a second. When healthy, Tyreek Hill is a game changer. There's no one like him. His acceleration, his ability to turn a 10-yard slant into an 80-yard touchdown, his presence that forces defenses to play deeper than they want to. It's transformative. You can't teach that kind of speed. You can't coach against that kind of explosiveness. But the reality right now is that the when healthy part looms large. Reports suggest Tyreek may not even be close to returning to full strength. Some say he's still walking with a noticeable limp. Others claim he's been undergoing experimental treatments to speed up recovery. Whatever the case, he's not game ready. So why now? Why make this move in the middle of uncertainty? The Commanders' GM, in his brief statement, said something that raised even more eyebrows. He said, "We believe in Tyreek Hill the person as much as Tyreek Hill the player." That line, that single sentence, lit up sports talk radio across the country. Is this really about football? Or is this about rebranding the Commanders around star power and excitement? Because, let's be honest, this franchise has been struggling to get attention for the right reasons. They've got a new ownership group trying to reshape everything, from the team culture to the uniforms, and now, signing one of the league's flashiest players could be a move to reignite the fan base. Even if Tyreek doesn't play a single snap this year, he brings headlines. He brings eyes. He brings relevance. But it's not all celebration in DC. A lot of fans are torn. Some are thrilled, calling it a bold, visionary move, the kind that only great franchises make when they believe in their own future. Others are downright furious, saying it's reckless, desperate, and tone-deaf to commit that kind of money and hope to a player whose status is so uncertain. And then there's the locker room dynamic to consider. How do the guys already there feel about this? Bringing in a megastar, especially one who's injured, can shift the energy in unpredictable ways. Veterans might see it as a distraction. Young players might feel overshadowed. Coaches might feel pressure to build around someone who can't even practice yet. This is a delicate balance, and Washington is walking a very fine line. What's also fascinating is the way Tyreek himself has been handling this whole thing. In his first appearance after the signing, wearing a Commander's hoodie and a quiet grin, he said, "I know people are doubting me. That's fine. They've been doubting me my whole life." You could feel the fire in his voice, that competitive spirit that made him one of the most feared athletes in the league. But beneath the confidence, you could also sense a bit of uncertainty. He didn't make any promises. He didn't say, "I'll be back soon." He didn't talk about week 1, or even this season. It was more like a man trying to convince himself, as much as everyone else, that this comeback story is going to happen. And look, we've seen stories like this before. We've seen great athletes go down hard and fight their way back. Adrian Peterson, Alex Smith, even Peyton Manning after neck surgery. But every case is different, and every body heals differently. Tyreek Hill's entire identity as a player is built on his speed, his explosiveness, his ability to change direction like physics don't apply to him. If that part of his game is compromised, even slightly, what happens? Does he reinvent himself as a different kind of receiver? Can he adjust his style? These are the questions nobody has answers to yet, not even Tyreek himself. And let's not forget the ripple effect this has around the league. The Dolphins now have to explain how they let go of one of the best offensive weapons in the game. Other teams that might have passed on him are probably wondering if they made a mistake, or if Washington just stepped into a trap. The media circus around this is already massive, and it's only going to get louder. Every training camp update, every rehab clip, every social media post from Tyreek will be dissected frame by frame. Fans are going to look for any sign, any hint, that he's back to his old self. And the moment he steps onto a practice field, even if it's just light jogging, it'll dominate the headlines for days. Behind the scenes, though, there's a feeling that Washington doesn't actually expect Tyreek to play this year. Some believe this was more about setting the stage for 2026, getting him into the building, letting him rehab with their medical staff, integrating him into the system, and giving him time to rebuild his body without the pressure of rushing back. If that's the plan, then maybe this isn't as crazy as it looks. Maybe this is a long-term chess move disguised as a headline-grabbing shocker. But still, for a team that hasn't even secured a playoff identity yet, it's one heck of a gamble. At the end of the day, though, one thing's undeniable. The Commanders have the entire sports world talking about them again. For a franchise that spent years buried under controversy, silence, and irrelevance, that alone is a kind of victory. They've managed to make themselves the center of attention, not for scandal or dysfunction, but for ambition. Whether it's foolish or fearless, time will tell. But right now, this is the story. Tyreek Hill, the superstar with a shattered step, heading to Washington with a point to prove in a mountain to climb. It's risky. It's dramatic. It's absolutely wild. And it's exactly the kind of chaos the NFL thrives on. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.